Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
Hurricane Ida,
one of the strongest hurricanes to hit Louisiana.
There's devastation.
A drone strike in Kabul.
Very actively working.
With the looming deadline.
And get out of Afghanistan. This is the most dangerous time.
The chance of another 9/11 just went through the roof.
We're going to need that third dose.
You're requiring masks.
Being able to choose what's best for our kids.
This is far from over.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. It is News and Views, Tom and Benny and Clark and you, and a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, the news out of Afghanistan doesn't get any better. The Pentagon announced just a few minutes ago that all U.S. troops have now departed from Afghanistan. I thought tomorrow was the last day, right? But everybody's gone now.
Well, let's see. The 31st.
That's tomorrow.
Is that our time or is it their time?
Oh, well, maybe that's it. Yeah.
8 hours forward. Is that right? 8.5 hours.
So maybe they actually left on the 31st. I have to check the clocks. Anyway, they're gone, and not good. Remember what this cut one. Remember what Jen Psaki said just last week.
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to get them home if they want to return home.
There are no Americans stranded is the White House's official position on what's happening in Afghanistan right now.
I'm just calling you out for saying that we are stranding Americans in Afghanistan when we have been very clear that we are not leaving Americans who want to return home. We are going to bring them home. And I think that's important for the American public to hear and understand.
Yeah.
I sure hope Peter Doocy has that quote ready for tomorrow.
So Psaki said today she couldn't give an exact estimate how many Americans remained in the country, though a senior State Department official said it was below 250. Now, we've got a bunch of stories here that say, well, most of the stories say we don't know. And, I mean, their math is really interesting. I mean, it's the kind of math that a flunky seventh grader would get a D- on. I mean, you hear all these numbers. Oh, there's 5,000, but we've gotten 1,500 in, so there's 250 left. Who knows how many are over there?
Maybe they're using Democrat election math.
Yeah, probably so. It's you wish you could laugh, but it's so sickening. There's another story here. I can't really verify the source, but one story here saying that just out today that 7 busloads of American citizens could not get into the airport. It's a mess. Meanwhile, family members and lawmakers representing North Carolina on the state level and the federal level are mourning the deaths of a Marine and a soldier who died in a terrorist attack that happened at the airport. Sergeant Nicole Gee of Sacramento, California, was stationed at Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville, 23 years old. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Naus of Tennessee, Corrington, Tennessee, lost his life. His grandmother was told to the Daily Beast, she thought they were all the Marines. She said, we're praying for the families that lost their Marines, thinking it was all the Marines. It was just exclusively Marines, and that was the initial report that came out that were killed in that attack at the Kabul airport. And it turns out, indeed, there was this one young Army soldier who was their grandson, lost his life as well. So very sad. Greg Murphy said he released on Friday Sergeant Gee's bravery, empathy, patriotism, unwavering commitment to others will never be forgotten. Her willingness to put herself in harm's way to protect her country is the most selfless act one can commit, and words are not enough to convey our gratitude. Congressman Hudson said, Renee and I join our country in praying for the family of Staff Sergeant Ryan Naus, including his wife in Pine Bluff and his extended family in Tennessee and Florida. Virginia Fox, who represents the 5th District, said the loss of American service members in Afghanistan and the nature of those lost has shaken the country to its core. Fox said, Tom and I are praying for every service member on the ground in Afghanistan and family members of the fallen and the Americans who are stranded. She went on to say it should never have gotten to this point. The failures of Biden and his administration cannot be overstated. The Biden administration seems blinded by the notion of making these next few days of our nation's last in Afghanistan, and in doing so, some of the worst in our modern history. It is mind-boggling what's going on, because now there's a story out that from the Washington Free Beacon, there is a story out from the Washington Free Beacon. The one I want to cover first is out of Politico. Politico has released a bombshell story obtained through a confidential source at the Pentagon, and it's angering top military officials. I mean, this is really interesting because we're having some lower-tier members of the military. Some might be civilian employees, others are members of the military that are now questioning their superiors. Mm-hmm. And when I say superiors, they're questioning the ones at the very top. The informant gave to Politico copies of detailed notes from 3 conference calls that showed military brass. And Politico, by the way, is not a conservative right-wing rag. It is considered middle of the road at best, middle of the road to left. Mm-hmm. The informant gave to Politico copies of detailed notes from 3 conference calls that showed military brass knew that a deadly attack was coming 24 hours before the suicide bomb at Kabul airport was set off, and they were unable to stop it. Politico reported, speaking from a secure video conference room on the 3rd floor of the Pentagon at 8 a.m. Wednesday or 4:30 p.m. in Kabul, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin instructed more than a dozen of the department's top leaders around the world to make preparations for an imminent mass casualty event, according to classified detailed notes of the gathering shared with Politico. During the meeting, General Mark Milley, the chair of the Chief Joints of Staff, warned of significant intelligence indicating that the Islamic State's Afghanistan affiliate, ISIS-K, was planning a complex attack. The notes quoted him as saying, commanders calling in from Kabul relayed that the Abbey Gate, where American citizens had been told to gather in order to gain entrance to the airport, was the highest risk, and detailed their plans to protect the airport. Later that day, officials on another call decided to close the Abbey Gate by the afternoon. The closing plan was stalled when it was decided to leave the gate open to allow British allies to continue evacuating their personnel through that gate. The delay was a deadly mistake. A suicide bomber entered Abbey Gate around 6 p.m. on Thursday, detonated a bomb that killed almost 200 people, including 13 military personnel. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby had no statement to make about why the gate closure was delayed so long after the recommended deadline, but did take the time to criticize the press for digging into what happened leading up to the deadly attack. So they're not upset with those people who did not follow the information that they received, and they should have closed the gate. They're not upset with that. John Kirby's upset that the press has reported on it. Mm-hmm. And they reported on it after the fact. I mean, he goes on to say, well, this is putting military people in danger. How's it putting them in danger? What's putting them in danger is not following the information, the intelligence that they had on hand. And the only thing they're doing, the only thing he's worried about is, he says.
Optics.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to prevent Joe Biden from looking like the nincompoop that he is. He said, this story is based on the unlawful disclosure of classified information and internal deliberations of a sensitive nature. As soon as we became aware of the material divulged to the reporter, we engaged Politico at the highest levels to prevent the publication of information that would put our troops and our operations at the airport at greater risk. No, you just wanted to keep from looking like what you are. Mm-hmm. So now we knew it was preventable. I mean, had Joe Biden not shut down Bagram Air Force Base, and but beyond that, had they listened to this intelligence? But you know why? They were so anxious to try to get everybody out of there by the 31st. That was the key. The date. He refused to extend the date. He refused to push it back. Got to get out there by the 31st. Therefore, we're going to rush everything through. Therefore, we have 200 people dead and 13 of our military dead.
Well, just remember, overly concerned with the political optics is what caused our ambassador in Libya to be killed, as well as several other servicemen in Libya.
And let's see, who was in charge back then?
Well, Barack Obama was president, Joe Biden vice president, Hillary Clinton Secretary of State at the time. I mean, same issue. You're too worried about. I mean, you put political handcuffs on our military advisors, and there's been a back and forth. Joe Biden's claiming that his generals recommended that they abandon Bagram Air Force
liberal
Base.
Mark Milley generals, Lloyd Austin generals.
Well, with the constraints that they gave them in number of people and when they had to get people out, that was their only choice because they wanted to, they wanted to protect the embassy. They couldn't protect the embassy and protect the Air Force Base with the number of troops they had. So, Biden's the guy at the top. He's the one that made the decision. You get credit for the successes. You should take the hit for the failures.
Hadn't done that.
No,
hadn't done that. And I'm a nobody in this great debate, but I have said all along, why did we shut down that Air Force Base? I mean, I said that back when Trump was talking about getting out and shutting down. Why don't we keep that Air Force Base there? It's strategically located. It's strategic to Iran, to Pakistan, to Russia, to China, and yet we were so anxious to get out of there after we had invested billions. It's mind-boggling what these politicians will invest in. And I mean, we're talking about lives right now that are lost, but I mean, we're talking about trillions of dollars that these people just blow away like it's no big deal.
Yeah, and the military brass for the last 8 months since President Biden's been in office, as well as how many people in Washington has focused on this nonsense, quote unquote, insurrection in Washington, where we send 25,000 troops to Washington, and we think we're going to keep the Taliban at bay with 2,500 troops. I mean, good grief.
But how many troops? You station these troops all over the world anyway. I mean, and Bagram was a huge facility and
it was secure.
Yeah.
I mean, Kabul Airport is a commercial airport, civilian airport.
So getting back to the Washington Free Beacon, the top Republican member of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations demanded the Biden administration address a report that U.S. military commanders block a group of 25 American citizens from entering the Kabul airport. Now, this might be related to that story we mentioned earlier about busloads of American citizens that couldn't get through. Former Force Recon Marine Chad Robichal, I guess is how you pronounce it, told the Daily Caller News Foundation that his nonprofit organization had organized bus transportation to the airport for 100 Christians, 300 orphans, and 25 American citizens early Thursday morning. This would be last Thursday. But when the evacuees arrived at the airport, he said a military commander made a scene and made the evacuees leave the airport. He really created a scene with us, did not like what we were doing and how we were doing it, and actually made the people get back on the bus, put them outside the gate, and essentially sent them back off into the hands of the Taliban. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, the ranking Republican member of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, expressed shock that a military official would block American citizens from entering the Kabul airport in a Friday letter sent to the Departments of Defense and State. It's hard to believe that any U.S. military official would deny Americans the ability to evacuate Afghanistan, Johnson said in the letter. What generalized or specific order was given to the commander that caused him to take this alleged action? Where did this originate? Johnson also demanded the Biden administration address what actions have been taken to locate the American citizens that the bus was allegedly turned away from when they turned the buses away from the airport. I mean, is this just because, and there's all kinds of stories out over the last couple of days, how what the American government, the Biden administration, and the American government and military aren't doing, you've got private citizens and members of Congress doing. I mean, they're going through, they're apparently looking at satellite imagery. They're telling people how they can get to the airport, how they can get around certain people. I mean, it's fascinating to me that they can even get to the information to pass on to these people on the ground. But they're doing what the Biden administration refuses to do. Mm-hmm. Did this commander at the airport that turned these people away, did he do so because he felt like you're not following our protocol? I mean, is this just another example of this authoritarian rule that liberals seem to be so fixated on? Instead of looking at success, my gosh, why in the world wouldn't you welcome them with open arms? Why wouldn't you look at them and say, I don't know how you got here, but come on in. Get in here quick before something happens to you.
With proper vetting, of course.
Well, these people were proper vetting, like we vet people that come into our country.
But I don't know how Biden, I want to call him O'Biden, which
very appropriate.
Yeah, but Biden basically keeps, every time he talks, he acts like every decision that's been made has been the military, and then.
But when it's time to take a bow, it's all his decision.
Whether it be Jake Sullivan or whoever, which I guess Jake Sullivan's was National Security Advisor, which I don't think he started shaving yet. But anyway, the thing to me that they keep acting like we have. There's absolutely no way the military has been surprised of what was going on, of the Taliban taking province after province after province. There's absolutely no way they were survived. If we can drill down on two guys that planned a bombing attack in a car and shoot them out of the sky with a
with a drone,
with some guy in Arizona flying it. There's no way in hell
that they didn't know everything.
They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, he advised the Biden administration, and they did not like the political optics, plain and simple. And I hope some senior generals would say, the heck with my retirement, the heck with my board compensation I'm going to get when I get on the board of General Dynamics or whoever, and call them out and tell the truth.
Well, there is a Lieutenant Colonel, Stuart Scheller, down in Camp Lejeune, who is basically walking away from a $2 million pension. We've got his audio. We're going to take a break. We'll play that when we get back. Stay with us.
And we're on location at one of my favorite places in the whole planet, because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Passalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also, from the bar to the two dining areas. You got two different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
Yeah, we have two rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Maribella's and the great pizza that you get at Maribella's, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. come see him at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
Top Dog Academy is Eastern North Carolina's complete dog training facility. Top Dog provides an excellent environment for dogs of all ages with training services and work week daycare. Top Dog is located on Highway 43 South, just 4 miles from Bells Fork, and features a comfortable, healthy environment and a spacious facility for daycare and a brand new, beautiful facility for training. Call 752-8215 or visit TopDogOnline.com.
Come on out Highway 43 South to Top Dog Academy, where we know dogs.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. Taking a quick look at your weather forecast. A slight chance of a thunderstorm tonight before 10 p.m. Otherwise, mostly clear with a low around 73. Tomorrow, more hot sunshine with a high near 96. 76, I wish. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low around 75. Then Wednesday, there's a chance of showers and thunderstorms. And the storm really comes in on Wednesday evening. And the good news is that will cool things down for the rest of the week. Of course, we haven't even talked about the Hurricane Ida that came ashore last night. 16 years. I think it was to the day.
To the day, yep, sure was.
And this was more powerful than Katrina was, I think. Was Katrina, wasn't she Hurricane 4? This was almost a Hurricane 5.
I don't think Katrina made landfall this powerful. But I think Katrina was a bigger storm, but this size-wise.
Now this is fascinating. The
mass of it
across. It was over top of New Orleans a lot longer. The interesting thing, though, the surge from the storm was so intense that it actually stopped the flow of the Mississippi River and caused the river to reverse.
Mm-hmm. Much like, of course, the Mississippi River obviously is a much bigger river than the Neuse River, but that's what happened in the Neuse River in Florence.
Yeah, but can you imagine? I mean, at that point down there, how wide is the Mississippi River? It's a couple miles wide.
Yeah, it's real wide. Mm-hmm.
And it reversed course?
I actually, during Hurricane Florence, which was fall of 2018, I actually went and looked at the river and saw it
going backwards.
That was kind of weird.
So before the break, you had mentioned the fact that when are we going to get some of these top brass to be willing to walk away from their retirement, their pension? And of course, I guess you have to, from what Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller said in this video, I guess you have to have a full 20 years to be guaranteed of your pension.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Colonel Scheller has been in for 17 years. He's in charge of the Advanced Infantry Training Battalion stationed at Camp Lejeune here in North Carolina. He has now been relieved of duty after putting it all on the line to call out the Biden administration and the Department of Defense leaders after the tragically flawed withdrawal disaster in Afghanistan. In a viral video posted to Facebook, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller questioned the wisdom of current leadership in a rather indignant speech. The video has been viewed and shared thousands of times, and it has been shared with the hierarchy who took notice, and yes, he has been relieved of duty. This is a little longer than we normally play, but I think it's worth listening to. This is Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, Cut 4 Clark, and this is why he has been relieved of duty.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller, United States Marine Corps. I'm the current battalion commander for Advanced Infantry Training Battalion. I've been in the Marine Infantry for 17 years. Started my tour with Victor 1-8. It's the current unit that's doing perimeter security, dealing with the mess that's going on there. You can see open source reporting that there was an explosion and some people were killed. I know through my inside channels that one of those people that were killed was someone that I have a personal relationship with. Won't go into more details because the families are still being notified. Not making this video because it's potentially an emotional time, making it because I have a growing discontent and contempt for my perceived ineptitude at the foreign policy level, and I want to specifically ask some questions to some of my senior leaders. And I'll say, as a person that's not at 20 years, I feel like I have a lot to lose. If you play chess, you can only see 2 to 3 moves out because there's too many variables. I thought through if I post this video, what might happen to me, especially if the video picks up traction, if I have the courage to post it. But I think what you believe in can only be defined by what you're willing to risk. So if I'm willing to risk my current battalion commander seat, my retirement, my family's stability, to say some of the things that I want to say, I think it gives me some moral high ground to demand the same honesty, integrity, accountability from my senior leaders. And so I want to start with, we'll just use the Marine Corps. We'll just stick with the Marine Corps. So in the current fallout of Afghanistan, a lot of Marines were posting on social media, and in response to that, the Commandant published a letter, which is the service chief of the Marine Corps. And I want to read from it. It was dated 18 August, so only a week ago. The Commandant, sir, you wrote, "Some of you may be struggling with the simple question, was it all worth it? We want you to know that your service is meaningful, powerful, and important. You fought for the Marine to your left and the Marine to your right. You never let them down." And then you go on to say that, if we're struggling, we should seek counseling, which, I get it. People have killed people. I've killed people, and I seek counseling, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that. But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise, and I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, we completely messed this up? I've got battalion commander friends right now that are posting similar things, and they're saying, wondering if all the lives were lost and if it was in vain, all those people that we've lost over the last 20 years. And he goes on to say that we're all part of a chain. While every link may not be tested, the strength of the chain is only as strong as each link, and you got to be, good link, something like that. And what I'll say is, and from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes. This amalgamation of the economic / corporate / political / higher military ranks are not holding up their end of the bargain. I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability.
That was Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller. And interestingly, he has been relieved of duty, and he is not complaining. He realizes, in fact, he came out and said, I respect those in authority over me, and if I was in their shoes, I'd probably do the same thing that they're doing. So the guy is of sound mind, but he is so convicted. I mean, he also said in a post on social media that I love this country. This is where I'm going to raise my boys, and I want to teach them to be men. I'm going to do everything I can to defend this country. But what he is saying is what we have said too. And so far we haven't seen anybody in the Biden administration that has openly admit that this was a royal screw-up and that incompetence ruled the day. Or, if they're not going to admit that, is it because this is exactly what they wanted to happen?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to get $85 billion in the hands of the enemy. I don't know. I don't know.
And, my military friends that I talk to, they might have a different perspective, but and some may, some may not. But this is a guy, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, that his only known war since his time in 17 years, when he volunteered, there was an ongoing war, so he wasn't just, volunteering just because he might thought it would be cool. I mean, he knew what he was getting himself into. I think served 3 or 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking a battalion commander, which is made up of, I think, maybe 5 or 6 companies, which is about 1,000 men. I mean, this isn't
this guy's fairly high up on the chain.
Absolutely. And I believe in the chain of command. I believe your complaints go up, not down. But you would hope that someone in Washington with 4 stars on their arm would take those stars off and throw them to the table and say, I demand we do something differently. I'm not going to serve. I serve at the pleasure of the president. I will not serve. But, you don't get that.
No.
And, maybe it'll come out. Maybe someone will come to his defense if he's not.
There'll be people that come to his defense. Now, whether or not there's anybody that come to his defense that can do anything about reinstating him and making sure he gets his pension, that is questionable.
And at the same time, I mean, knowing nothing about him other than what you've seen in these 2 videos he's released, you don't know what the scars of war has done to someone like that. The casualties of war last for years.
Yeah.
And
the rest of your life.
Yep. And he's more than likely. He said he knew someone that was killed in this latest incident. You would think if he has reached out to someone above him and his chain of command, and they did nothing, then shame on them.
You mentioned earlier that we had a drone that went in, and apparently, the drone went in apparently and got a couple of the bad guys that were involved in the bombing at the Kabul airport. I don't know how we know that. I mean, that's what they're saying. That's what they're reporting. Look, I'm sorry. I just don't trust this president to not put out some propaganda piece to make him look good. But we do know this. We do know that a drone caused an explosion. It hit a car that was full of explosives, and it basically blew up a family of 10, including 6 children. And, it's interesting. Barack Obama, his preference was drones over boots on the ground. And when you have that, yes, you put less of our military in danger on the short term, but on the long term, if you're blowing up people that are innocent, then once you get boots back on the ground, there's going to be a huge resentment to our military, to America. Yeah, I think we are there now. How do you deal with what we have there? But, I go back in a lot of, our founding fathers, one of their comments often was, don't needlessly get involved in wars of other nations. Mm. And, we've heard the same thing from Rand Paul.
Was that the Monroe Doctrine? Was that the Monroe Doctrine?
Well, that was part of it, but I mean, just our founding fathers,
mm-hmm.
as a
George Washington certainly
said that.
Yeah.
Rand Paul and Ron Paul have both said, let's not get involved in these situations that we can't control. Afghanistan has been a disaster going back centuries for numerous countries, including Russia, including America. But we're there, so now that we're there, how do we deal with it? Well, we haven't dealt with it well. And again, this drone strike that the Biden administration is strutting around, proud of themselves for taking. They say they took out a couple of the bad guys. I don't know how we'll ever be able to verify that.
Well, even the most precision drone strikes, there's risk of collateral damage. And I guarantee you right now we have people away from the airport in the midst of people in Afghanistan that are there and willingly there in the clandestine services. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that there's people there that they're risking their life for intel even today. They're not out.
Well, we hope that the higher ups in the Biden administration don't know about it, because they would probably somehow go in and screw it up. I'm sorry, my cynicism is at 110%.
Well, if it's like Benghazi, if they fear some kind of political optics of what's going to happen. Question is, what's going to happen a week from now? And God forbid this happens, but we have a live streaming event of Americans being beheaded by the Taliban. And what is Joe Biden going to do then?
Pray that doesn't happen, but that is not beyond the possibilities.
But I hope tomorrow at the White House press briefing, I hope Jen Psaki, I hope she calls on Peter Doocy. She'll probably ignore him.
I would think she'll ignore him for the next couple of weeks.
Remind her of his, how did she say it? His reckless
use of the word stranded.
Yeah. Well, they're stranded because our 4-star general just said today they were.
Well, remember that Biden came out and said, we will not leave Afghanistan until every American is out. I mean, he just said this a couple of weeks ago.
He didn't remember it, though. All fairness, he doesn't remember it.
So Joe Biden was at the dignified transfer of the U.S. service members at Dover Air Force Base on Sunday with family members in attendance. The family of Lance Corporal Riley McCullum, his sister was there, his father was there, McCullum's wife, Jenna McCullum, was there. Only the wife, Jenna, went to meet with Joe Biden, and believe it or not, and by the way, she's expecting the couple's first child next month. She left and she said she was disappointed. Once again, the president brings up his son, Beau, according to her account, describing the son's military service and his subsequent death from cancer. It struck the family as scripted and shallow, a conversation that lasted only a couple of minutes, in total disregard to our Marine, Royce said. You can't F up as bad as he did and say you're sorry, Royce said of the president. This did not need to happen, and everyone and every life is on his hands. The White House declined comment.
Of course it did.
I mean, this guy, he can't even say how sorry I am that you've lost your husband. He's got to be, this is a narcissist. He has got to be the center of attention. Oh, don't you feel bad for me because I lost my son, Beau? Oh, you lost your husband? Well, I lost my son, Beau. Let's talk about that.
I mean, it's no different than, over the years. I mean, he just has a reputation for embellishing things, and he always puts the focus on him, talks about the many honorary degrees that
he didn't get.
That he didn't get. And at a time when you're there to console someone that's lost a loved one in battle, and just to bring up yourself is just that just tells all about his character, plain and simple.
He's also under a lot of social media attacks for looking at his watch, which was pretty obvious that he did as he's standing at attention. He's got to look down and check what time it is. I've got to. My nap starts in 15 minutes. I got to get out of here.
If Jill's smart, she'll get that watch and she'll go lock it up or something.
Smash it with a hammer. Did you see? He was with the prime minister of the new prime minister, Naftali Bennett of Israel.
I didn't see that
over the weekend, and the prime minister of Israel is talking to the president, the typical political talk that every prime minister, Netanyahu had to do it with Obama, basically had to kiss his rear end about how wonderful they are and how, we are so appreciative of America. And he's talking, Joe Biden's sound asleep. He's sitting in the chair in the Oval Office, and the prime minister of Israel is starting out looking at Joe Biden, talking and thanking and giving all these, platitudes, and And then he notices that Joe Biden's sound asleep, so he turns to the reporters that are there and starts talking to them instead. Now, apparently, at some point, Joe woke back up, but he was sound asleep.
They better get him some caffeine gum or something.
Hey, we got to take a time out. When we come back, Joe Biden has done it again. He has stuck his foot not only in his mouth, it's halfway down his throat. We'll tell you why when we get back.
Break the chain. Eat local. Tiebreakers.
Hey, this is Hank Hinton back here at Full Service Flooring in Winterville. I'm here today with Corey Little, who's the operations manager here at Full Service Flooring. Corey's been here 6 months, but you've been in construction a long time. Tell us about what you do here at Full Service Flooring.
Yeah, I got over here about 6 months ago. I've been in construction for, like I said, a little over 20 years, and I've known Tim for a long time now, and he's brought me over here to see what new kind of things I can bring to the store and to our customers. And I'm in charge of scheduling, and I don't know what else. I'm in charge of everything. It seems like we work together as a team and try to pull it all together. I might do a measure one day and do a commercial floor the next day, but we just kind of all work together and pull it all together at one time.
So what's new in flooring? What is the hot new thing?
The hot new thing is LVP or LVT, depending on what you're looking for, which look you're looking for. It's a waterproof product. It's absolutely fantastic. You can't really beat it.
A lot cheaper than hardwoods?
It is definitely a cost-effective alternative to hardwoods, yes, sir.
So, Corey, how is business right now?
And business is good. Despite the pandemic, we're still seeing a lot of new customers in the store, and we get an opportunity to introduce our products in a lot of different situations right now.
Corey, you've got a lot of experience in the construction industry. How is that helping you here with people, helping people with flooring here at Full Service Flooring?
Sure. I try to take the experiences that I've gained over my time in construction to help apply that to the flooring, whether it be with what the structure is made out of, the subfloor that we're going over top of, or maybe even just how it coordinates with your kitchen cabinets in construction or in your bathroom and how the tub and everything all ties together.
And a customer can just come here and see you anytime?
Absolutely. We're here 6 days a week, and we just love to see a new customer in here anytime. They can always call us and schedule something with us so we can make sure we have our time allotted for them.
Corey, thank you so much. That's Corey Little here at Full Service Flooring. Come see these guys. They're on Tilco Drive in Winterville, 756-9308 and fullserviceflooring.com.
Ride and shotgun with your 5 o'clock drive.
Well, the drive home should be a delight.
This is Tom Lamprecht with more news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. So we are all very familiar with Cousin Eddie, a.k.a. Joe Biden's numerous racist statement. In fact, let's go down memory lane. Cut 2. Clark, do you have that ready? Here we go.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent to fully. I'm not joking.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yeah, and that's just for starters. I mean, remember, I think he said even before Obama picked him to be his running mate, when he brought out his admiration for Obama. I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, this is pretty close, that he admired Obama. He said, for the first time, we have an articulate, good-looking black man. I mean, he's clean, he said.
Yeah.
He's attractive. I mean, this is storybook. And don't forget his, they're going to lock you up comment, lock you up in chains. Well, he has done it again, and this might be he's got many, but this will certainly make the top 10. Earlier today, Biden held a press conference on Hurricane Ida, his response. During his presser, a visibly confused Joe Biden was forced to ask his advisor, Cedric, who are we going to next? Biden then referred to Cedric Richmond, one of his senior advisors. This guy's a 47-year-old black man. Joe Biden refers to him as boy.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started, if that's okay with you all. And thanks for joining me. I'm here. The FEMA director is on. FEMA Director Chris Wells, she's on. And I'm here with my senior advisor and boy who knows Louisiana very, very well, man, and New Orleans, and Cedric Richmond.
Boy that knows Louisiana really well, Cedric Richmond. 47 years old. Now, look. Okay, was it a slip of the lip?
Biden is 78,
78?
Yeah, I think that's right. 77 or 8.
Comes across as 88.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, slip of the lip.
My grandmother at 88 could handle a press conference better than him.
Can you imagine if Donald Trump or any conservative would have said what he just said? And people, Tom, you're making too much of it. No, what I'm trying to make of it is the fact that if a conservative had said the same thing, they would run him out of office.
If it was Donald Trump, I would say, absent a terrorist attack that just happened in the afternoon, it would be the first story on the news.
Oh, yeah.
If Donald Trump said that.
It would supersede a terrorist attack. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Got a trade? Now's the time at Greenville Toyota. Never in history has your trade been worth more. Get paid today. Then get a new Toyota hot off the delivery truck. Hurry before they're gone. Like Camry's $199 a month. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
My name is Dr. Neeti Armistead, Chief Medical Officer for Vidant Health. The following simple steps will help keep you and your community safe. Stay home as much as possible, wear a mask when out in public, avoid large gatherings, practice social distancing, and wash hands often. It's also important not to delay needed care. Vidant has taken important steps to provide you and your family with a safe environment. Learn more about COVID-19 and Vidant's response. Call 252-847-8000 or visit vidanthealth.com/COVID-19.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Toyota shoppers, now's the time at Greenville Toyota. Shipments of factory fresh Toyotas are arriving daily and being sold almost immediately. Like Corollas for $189 a month. Get yours before they're gone.
Back to news and views. Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. So last week, General Motors said it was recalling all of its Chevy Bolt electric vehicles sold worldwide to fix a battery problem that could cause fires. The recall of these and other lithium-ion batteries, which are used in all electric vehicles, Ford, BMW, Hyundai, they've all been recalled recently. Joe Biden will need electric vehicles to reach his goal of cutting greenhouse gas emissions in half by 2030 as a part of a broader effort. And everybody's talking about, this is how we're going to go in the future. And yet we still don't have the real, we've got some cars that are, electric that you recharge. And I realize this is the early stage. But here's the $73,000 question. And by the way, they've recalled 73,000 Bolts. How much greenhouse gas emission does a Chevy Bolt put out when it catches on fire? And what are you going to do with the batteries when they die? Aren't they going to? Isn't that going to be a
and what does
problem?
What does it take to lithium to get the lithium out of the ground to make the batteries? Look at the carbon emissions.
And
for
how
that.
much fossil fuels do we burn to make the electricity to charge the cars?
Yeah, we're only 30%, between 28-30% renewable at best.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, to make a long story short, it makes you feel good. Go out and buy one, but make sure you park it outside in case it catches on fire. You don't want to burn down your house when your garage catches on fire.
Do some virtue signaling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Make yourself feel good. You and Joe. Hey, now if you own an electric car, we still love you. Keep listening. Hey, we got to run. We'll do it again tomorrow. Keep praying for America. Thank you. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, all right, all right.
We're on location at Fabric and Home Furnishings, and I'm back with my friend Lisa Pendry. And Lisa's been telling me about all the great renovations that have been going on here in the store, and I've been looking around, and it looks fantastic. Tell us what you've done here.
Well, we've knocked some walls down, we've painted, we've added some new vendors, lots of new exciting things going on. So we're making room for everybody to get what they need to transform their homes.
Looks fantastic in here. Last time we talked, you were saying that you were able to deliver a lot faster than most other furniture stores. Is that still the case?
It is. It's changed a little bit, but we're still looking at around 8 to 10 week delivery, and we do sell our floor samples right off the floor.
All right, we always say that Fabric and Home Furnishings is more than just a fabric store, so tell us what the more is all about. What when people come in, what should they expect?
Well, we love to get to know our customers. I have the best crew I've ever had, and